Alrighty, it's day 12. Yay, last day of this 12 Days of Ink series. I'm gonna show you my December plan in just a second, but I just wanted to talk about this pen and ink combination. As expected, it was great. I hope you don't see my dirty sweater right down here. And yeah, I still love the ink. You can, now that it is dry, see very well that it's not the same color, of course. However, it has a similar sheen on top, and the way the ink goes down more teal and then dries to this greeny color is just very similar as the ink behaves on here. And so for me, this is a good enough dupe, especially in the writing. Of course, not necessarily in a swatch this big. As usual, I made this big writing thing with water brush and stuff, and I have to say that this was the best ink that was easy to solve, and you can see how much darker the filling is compared to some of the others right here. I just wanted to, here you can see the shimmer of the iron ore is like silvery blue color. Can you see that even? Yes. And then the shimmer on the All the Best is this purpley pink, and the sheen is this gold color. The sheen on the Diamine Ruby Blues is red, and I know that some people said that they had problems with this ink drying and smearing, but I mean, if I put on a lot of friction, you can see there's a little bit of blue on my finger, but it's not. If I just use it like this, I don't see that happening for me, which is great. Maybe it's the paper that other people use with this ink. Definitely on Cosmo Airlight, you would probably not have any problems. So this pen and ink combination is definitely a winner for me, as all of those were, of course. You know, that's why they're Best of Currently Inked 2023. This is what the page looks like right now. I've got all of them up here, and then we'll add the last one in when I'm done here. Of course, I completely forgot to prepare my water. So I just recently finished doing my Inkvent on the 25th when the first video here came out. And I also have a video on my channel about my experience with the Inkvent calendar. And what I did every day was I would ink up a pen with the day's ink. I would write a tiny snippet. I would put a color swatch right here, and then I would use my water brush just as I did here in this little teeny tiny square. And in that experience video, I shared my 5 favorite Inkvent inks. And so those are the ones that I'm going to swatch and just talk a teeny tiny bit about. Because I just really can't decide. And I also haven't really shared writing samples of those yet, or anything. So I thought this would be cool. I also don't have to write and wait until it's dry. So that's what we're going to do. My favorite ink of the Inkvent calendar, or let's put it this way. I liked a lot of the colors of the Inkvent calendar, but these were the ones that I was most surprised about, that I liked them so much, and especially in the pens and inks, in the pens that I had put them in. So this one is Glacier. This is the ink that they call Star Bright. They say this is a new form of ink, and what this basically means is that there is a very, very, very large amount of silver shimmer inside. I decided to put that ink into a pen that was loaned to me by my friend Katie from Katie's, no, I don't know her YouTube channel, Katie's Crafty Corner. I will link her channel in the description down below. And she loaned me 4 of these Pilot Parallels. I used 3 of them during the Inkvent. And first of all, this size is the one that I was most comfortable with. And then I really loved how the ink shaded in with this nib. So let's just put, what is this called? Glacier. Well, that's awesome. So we'll just do this. They're all Diamine inks, of course. And I haven't written with this. Well, I wrote some notes with this, but every time I used it, it didn't really matter at all how long I waited until I wrote with this. And you can see here the ink pooling. There is shimmer. There was always shimmer. So let's see. And then it writes on the side, which is also really cool. Pilot Parallel. This is not well, it works better when the ink flow is good, but when I started using this, it did not work well at all. And it was really scratchy. Right now it isn't. So if it works well, you get an amazing fine line with this really, really wide nib. And I loved just writing titles when I wrote letters, which I then stopped doing because there was so much to do. But I sent out 2024 stickers and I just wrote Happy 2024 and that looked so good. So see, it's wet and I can get these lines from that. For me, this was the most surprising ink and pen that I experienced during Inkvent. I am really curious to see how this and all of the ones that I'm showing you perform in other pens, whether I just liked this ink in that specific pen or if that is a transferable experience and it's not just this specific pen. So these all will be used hopefully sometime during 2024 as well. Okay, next color that I picked is Moonbeam. I think the reason why I like this so much and why I didn't enjoy some of the other inks that were included is, so for instance, Nightfall, it's a similar color. And well, it's a dark blue with a green and gold shimmer. And it to me, that looks just like a fly. And when I use this one, and I hope there is enough shimmer for you to see the shimmer in this one, which I of course didn't write down. Maybe that would be an interesting thing as well. So where is my note? Where are my notes? I'll be back. Okay, so Moonbeam had a turquoise and pink shimmer, or has a turquoise and pink shimmer, whereas Nightfall had a turquoise and green. And when that dries, it just looked like a fly. And this just was so much more, felt more complex. And I do have an ink in the lineup that I'm going to show you later, where the shimmer is gold and green. And that looks completely different. So I really have no deeper knowledge of the way shimmer behaves on top of ink. Maybe it is like also the way it reflects the color that is underneath. That would be something that would be really interesting. So I put the Moonbeam ink into this Gravitas pocket pen. There's some dirt right here. That's fine. The material of this pen is Delrin, which is also an industrial plastic, just like, for instance, Ultim. And this, I used another nib in this pen, and it was very hard for me to write with it. It felt slippery, the grip, and so I tried to just put a nib in here that I would enjoy, and I put a broad nib in this. So let's write. And again, haven't written with this in a while, and look, it writes. So this is, let's see what happens if I write in reverse. This is what? I like that. Gravitas pocket. I'll just write Delrin. And the nib is a broad nib. And this one is the 2023 San Francisco Pen Show nib from Penrel. So I just really like that the ink is so light that when you write, you see some shading. That is something that I really, really enjoy. And this nib is extremely wet and lovely. And yeah, so this was my second favorite ink. I really like it in this pen. It wrote every time I pulled it out and used it. The next ink was another surprising ink for me, which was Jacaranda. I had put this in the Sailor King of Pens, and this is probably the theme. I enjoy, or I love pens and inks when there is a surprising development. Maybe I wasn't sure if I liked this pen very much, or maybe I wasn't sure if I liked this ink, and then I put it together, or I put an ink in there, and then suddenly it works well. And that's exactly what happened with this pen. I'm still have this pen on loan, and I wasn't 100% sure if it was really the right pen for me or not, but with this ink, it was just so obvious that this is so good. And here you can also see the difference between a Western broad and a Japanese broad. This one is definitely broader than this, but did you see how wet this wrote? Can you see the shading, how it lays down some ink, some more ink there, and some other ink here? Let's see if this writes as, yep, Sailor, not as well as these other two. Sailor King of Pen with a broad nib. And it just is such a huge nib. It has a good amount of bounce. And yeah, it just such a surprising pen and ink combination. And so Nadia, if you watch this, please let me know how much you would like for this pen so I can save and pay you. Next one, another surprising pen ink for me. In my first video, I said that I did not think, I was so underwhelmed by day 1 to 3. This is day 3. And yeah, it's still inked. I've been using this so much more often than I thought I would. And so it made it onto my favorite inks list. This is what some people might consider and say a very boring blue, but it just performed so well in this TWSBI with a 1.1 stub nib. Again, this was a pen that I wasn't sure I was even going to keep, because I didn't have a great experience with the nib so far. So this is early. And this is, it goes down in this cyan color, but it dries down more to an ultramarine. And then this one is, I don't think we can do a reverse in this one. Oh my goodness, look at this. TWSBI Eco in white with a 1.1. And you definitely see a theme in what I loved in this, in these inks. What I prefer is when there is shading, when it looks interesting, when the ink goes down really wet. So there's not a surprise that these are all in a similar color scheme as well. And then the last one that I have is Raise a Glass. Again, I'm not sure if this is simply the ink or if it's because I used a new pen with this ink, but so many people said that the shimmer wasn't super visible. That's what I really liked about this ink. It was just a faint hint of shimmer once in a while, and not a shimmer dump like here and many of the other silver shimmers in that calendar. I just was there was so much silver shimmer, or so much shimmer in general on these inks, that similar to high sheening ink, the base color got lost. And with this one, it was a consistent shimmery experience. Not a lot, but quite a bit of shimmer in all of this. And so I used my new pen, the Pelikan M800 green demonstrator, for this. So the ink is Raise a Glass. We'll try the reverse. I haven't Pelikan. That is so funny that all of those would write M800 in reverse. Makes them so much more versatile as well. Green demonstrator with a fine nib. And then let's see. So of course, because this ink is so dark, there is not a lot of shading, if at all. That was what I wasn't sure if I really liked this, but instead of shading, you can already see how the sheen comes out in where usually the shading is in the lighter inks. You can see a little bit of sheen and shimmer as well. And I wrote quite a bit with this pen for my review of the Inkvent calendar, and I just wanted to show you how there is not a lot of shimmer to be seen, but once in a while there's just this tiny little sparkle somewhere. And that's what I loved about this pen and ink combination. So I hope you had fun watching my 12 days of inks. Let me know if you would like to see one in 2024 as well. I am so grateful that you were watching all along and that you were sharing your favorite ink combinations of each month. Even if I haven't responded to any of your comments, I still read them, all of them, and I appreciate you so much for not giving up on me. Thank you for a great 2023. I will be back soon with another video. Until then, I hope your 2024 is off to a great start. Someone commented on my Ko-fi and wished me an uneventful 2024, and I thought that was such a great wish. So I'm just going to pass this along. I hope your year 2024 is uneventful and you are just living your best life. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon. Bye.